historic land known as Niagara has always been a place unique for its rich earth, welcoming climate, and strategic location. For thousands of years, North American Indigenous people lived here on the shores of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. These were my ancestors. For us, Niagara was our traditional meeting and hunting grounds. The thundering waters of Niagara Falls gave rise to many great myths and legends. It was also a land soaked in battle and bloodshed. For many generations, the Niagara Peninsula was controlled by the Attawandaron, or the Neutral Confederacy, as the French called them. By the 17th century, the Attawandaron were defending it from the Iroquois Confederacy, the mighty Haudenosaunee. They attacked from across the river, led by the powerful Seneca Nation. The Neutrals were decimated. Those who survived were adopted into the Seneca Nation. But Niagara had rich, desirable hunting grounds, and gradually the Seneca too were driven away. In their place came the Mississauga, the Anishinaabeg. They took control of the land. But they weren't the only ones exploring this new world. The 17th century had also seen the first European settlers. They lived peacefully alongside their native neighbors. It was, after all, in their best interest to maintain friendship. In 1764, the British purchased land alongside the Niagara River from the Seneca Nation. During the American War of Independence, thousands of settlers loyal to the Crown found safe haven in Niagara, swelling its population. After the war, the British government purchased more land, a mere 20 kilometers downstream from the mighty Niagara Falls. This time, they were negotiating with the Anishinaabeg. A peaceful alliance continued between the Europeans and the native nations. It was an alliance born of mutual respect and protection, and one that would ultimately determine Upper Canada's future. In 1756, the British appointed Sir William Johnson as superintendent of the British Indian Department. It was a position of great influence and power. Johnson was, in all things, the consummate diplomat, and he cleverly protected British interests during the Anglo-French conflicts for dominance of colonial America. But it was his native collaborations that were so instrumental to the British victory over the French. He understood the value of native alliances. He learned to speak their languages, and he gained their trust. It was William Johnson who understood the significance of the covenant chain of friendship and oversaw the acceptance of the 1764 Treaty of Niagara. This historic Wampum Belt Treaty renewed relationships and reaffirmed pledges made by the British. 24 native nations participated in the agreement, including the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabeg, the Algonquin, and the Huron. Johnson also nurtured the young Mohawk chief Joseph Brant, and he married Brant's older sister, Molly, who would be as powerful and legendary as her warrior brother. Joseph Brant spoke eloquently in support of Johnson at Confederacy councils. And this gave Johnson his most valuable weapon, native loyalty. It laid the groundwork that would benefit the British for decades, and in particular during the War of 1812. The Johnson family would continue to influence relationships between the early settlers and the First Nations for generations. Without them, and certainly without the loyalty of my ancestors, Niagara's early settlement history could have been a very different story. Yo